Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. I'm Star Sports editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, this is my favorite show of the year because I get to do this. Because I get to do this. Tell me a story about the U of A ASU football rivalry, and then I will wheel my chair over here, and the camera will pan on you.
Well, you've been to all of them since when?
Oh God, probably like 05.
Yeah, I thought the ones in the '80s were unsurpassed.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone meant so much, and Arizona was building its name because they'd been kicked around by Frank Kush for 20 years, and then suddenly Arizona knocks them out of the Rose Bowl in 1982, which was the best game I've ever seen here. Knocks them out of the Rose Bowl in '85, beats the Rose Bowl team in '86. Those three, to me, still today. That's what, 30 years ago?
Sure.
Those were still the three best ones.
Wow. If we're going not modern era, but if we're going last decade, what's your favorite?
Last decade, wow. I can tell you anything about the 80s or 90s game, but the last decade.
I thought the one here 3 years ago was interesting.
2014 game.
Right. The way the stars aligned in that game was unlike anything I've ever seen following this team.
That's in my top 5 list, easily.
Right.
Maybe top 3.
Right. I mean, it was almost, and I'm mixing my sports metaphors here, it was almost like October baseball. Because not only are you following their game, you're watching scores from 2 other games, I think, right? It was UCLA, Stanford.
Yeah.
You had to sort of wait and see. And people will forget how big of an upset that was, Stanford beating UCLA that day.
Oh, no kidding. Things fell into place.
Right.
The play of that game to me, and one of the top maybe 5 plays in the last 40 years of the rivalry, was when Scooby Wright hit their quarterback, forcing the fumble in the first series, right? Return for a touchdown. And the press box shook. Yep. I mean, it did. It moved.
We have a photo of that, and Scooby Wright is like this. I think it was Bercovici, right?
Yeah.
Scooby Wright.
No, it wasn't Bercovici. He came in late.
Scooby Wright is parallel to the ground, and he has his arm almost like a wrestling move around the guy's neck, taking him down. That was incredible. Another game, and it's funny, for some reason, I don't think you were there. It was the year Tim Kish beat ASU.
I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
The year Tim Kish beat ASU at Sun Devil Stadium.
Yeah.
That's right.
I remember going in the interview room. He had his son there with him.
That's right. Tim Kish beats ASU. It was the worst Arizona team in a very long time.
Yeah.
The team that got Mike Stoops fired. If you remember correctly, that night there were rumors that Mike Bellotti, of all people, was going to be introduced as Arizona's next coach. That turned out, obviously, to be false. They pull off this phenomenal, you won't believe it win when I believe it was Shaq Richardson deflected a pass in the end zone as ASU was going into tie. Shaq stomped over, I think it was Jarrell Robinson on the ground. To me, that was unexpected. That took the cake for me in terms of unexpected wins. I don't think anybody gave Arizona much of a chance that day. And, it was a very, very, very big surprise. And Rich Rod was Arizona's coach 48 hours later.
In the 1985 game in Tempe, ASU was so good.
Yeah.
They were so good. I remember Larry Smith told me walking back from practice that week, I don't think we can beat them.
Wow.
They're that good. And they were. And Arizona beat them because Max Zendejas kicked a 57-yard field goal. And then ASU had to punt because they were afraid of Zendejas again. Then he kicks the game winner with like a minute to go. But that game, there were roses everywhere. ASU hadn't gotten the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Every ASU fan had a rose in the stadium in Tempe. And Jack Magruder, who our great former beat writer, covered the team. We were driving home at midnight from Tempe, and we pulled up at a stoplight maybe a mile from it, Sun Devil Stadium, and there was a guy sitting on a street corner selling roses with a tiny little light bulb. You could barely see the sign that said "Roses, $1."
That column wrote itself, didn't it?
That was... Arizona was so close to the Rose Bowl for so many years in the 80s, and then again in the 90s. And ASU finally got there, even though Arizona beat them in '86. In the best game played here ever, I think, in 1986.
Chuck Cecil game.
Yeah.
And maybe the greatest play in Arizona football history.
Easily. What else would it be?
What's amazing to me is Arizona's season always comes down to the ASU game.
Yeah.
And the ASU game always comes down to one play.
Seems like it.
11 and a half months of training and practice and sweat, and it doesn't matter who the coach is, who the players are, everything else. Your season pretty much always comes down to one game, and that game always comes down to one play. It's crazy.
1997 at Tempe, ASU was 9-2. The year before, they'd gone to the Rose Bowl the year before.
Right.
They were so much better in Arizona that year. And they controlled the game, but with 2 minutes to go, Joe Salavea sacks Jake Plummer.
Right.
He fumbles in the end zone. Salavea picks it up for a touchdown. Arizona beats him. I mean, like you're saying, one play every game.
One play every game. It's fun. Yeah, you've been around for a while. Do you still get excited to go cover this game? Even though it means it's a long day and a long night, and sometimes you see some ugliness in the stands?
I still think it's the #1 sporting event in the state every year. Forget the Suns, the Cardinals, Diamondbacks. I think this game is the #1 sporting event in the state. ASU fans have fallen away, I think. The state has kind of fallen away, but to me it's still the premium sporting event in Arizona.
If you want to learn a few new derogatory remarks, go sit in the stands at a U of A ASU game and you'll learn a few. It's the hatred and ugliness there. I'm not sure if it's healthy, but my goodness, it's apparent. I mean,
Todd Graham's first year there, they whacked Arizona like 56-12 or something. Walking from the parking garage to the stadium, I'd never seen so many fans in Phoenix before. But they all jumped on the bandwagon that year, and as you were saying, it was all derisive toward Arizona, and they just pounded them.
Arizona ASU Saturday afternoon game. It's going to be hot.
It's going to be so hot there. I mean, 90 on the thermostat. Probably feel like 102 in the stands.
Beats last Saturday in Eugene, though.
Yeah.
You'll be warmer. Arizona ASU Saturday afternoon at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe. Greg Hansen will be there. Michael Lev will be there. All of the Daily Star crew will be there. So please give us a follow on Twitter, on Tucson.com, and everywhere you get your videos and your podcasts, because we do podcasts now, as you know. Do you like it? What do you like more, podcasts or videos?
Videos.
Videos, because they take 3 minutes instead of 15.
Yeah.
That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.